Welcome back. Now, these artists exemplify resilience and creativity using their platforms to address relevant societal issues while continuing to influence the cultural landscape of South Africa and beyond. Their recognition as young talents in 1994 set the stage for their enduring legacies in the arts. The Standard Bank Young Artist Award, established back in 1981, celebrates the outstanding contributions of emerging South African artists in various disciplines. In 1994, a notable year for South Africa as it emerged from apartheid and embraced its new democracy, several artists were honored with this prestigious award. Stage and screen actor Dr. Jerry Mofokeng wa Makhetha, creative collage artist Nhlengethwa, and writer and director of children's opera Micheal Williams, 3 decades later, they remain a vital figure in the creative world, continuing to write and produce new works, forging a path for future generations in the arts. Well, Dr. Jerry Mofokeng is in studio with us this morning, and via Zoom we'll be in conversation with Mr. Nhlengethwa and as well as Micheal Williams. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us, and a warm welcome to Morning Live.
Lucky me to be in the studio. Good to see you again, man.
No, I'm the lucky one to be in your presence. Jeez, man, it's so good to see you. It's so good to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, and just reflecting on your career, 30 years later, you were the recipient of the Standard Bank Young Artist of the Year Award. So let's talk about what that meant for you now and what that meant for you back then.
What it meant back then is you break the ceiling and you enter this prestigious world of acknowledged actors and directors.
Yeah.
And I'm not just a graduate of Wits and Columbia. I am an artist in my own right, and people can ask for me by name, and
yes.
And I'm recognized as a professional, let me put it that way. But then the opportunities come, but the responsibilities also come.
Yeah.
And that's really what it meant then. What it means now is it's time, it's legacy time. It's time to pass the baton on.
Yeah.
I should not be afraid of the young tigers, the young lions, who are doing it. I went to see the play called Makhetha Theatre. Goodness, now I forget the title. I see I'm 68.
It's okay.
But the young female director had done such a good job that I went to see it twice. Twice. Momo Matsunyan. You know? And you just think, yes, it's time to pass the baton on. But that doesn't mean we've stopped being creative. Sure. We've stopped being, you know, I've gotten like 3 Lifetime Achievement Awards, but I'm still hot, I think.
Yeah.
I'm still burning, and I'm still making it happen. So then entry into the professional world. Now, passing the baton and legacy time.
Yes.
I did a production of The Island. I sent some of the photographs here. And I did it with 2 women. In other words, at this point of our lives, we don't copy ourselves. We do the same things, but in completely different ways. We can be brave enough. That Nhlengethwa, you think, oh, nights so, but how? No. He's not copying himself. That Williams, he's not copying himself. He's doing new things that only legends can do. Yes. And that's what it means for us 30 years down the line.
Right. I quite take that point you said. And that Nhlengethwa, let me also welcome you and help you join in this conversation. He's saying that you're doing things that no other person could do. Let's talk about your vision, and let's talk about that accolade. It is quite a notable accolade, being being told that you are the recipient of the Standard Bank Young Artist of the Year Award. Did that at all change your artistic vision for the arts moving forward? And what kind of pressures did that accolade come with?
Good morning. Good morning to everyone and the viewers. I remember when we were in Grahamstown Tate Mofokeng was next to me. We had dinner.
Yeah.
And I must say, it was such a delight that we are being acknowledged in our practice for the nation. But I think since that time until now, I've been pushed by inspiration that I'm one of the people who are the mirrors of the nation. So it has just like enhanced me. It has made me a better person, and I'm still striving on. So I'm still strong.
I mean, it's so heartwarming hearing that, legends and artists like yourselves, 30 years later, are still basking in the glory of such an accolade, because some may think, it's 30 years ago, the fire has died down. But let me also welcome you, Micheal Williams, and as a recipient of this award, how did that recognition shape your path as a writer and director in the arts, especially working in children's opera?
Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be here, and thank you so much for the invitation. Yeah, 30 years ago, to receive that award was a life-shattering moment for me, because it suddenly meant that there was recognition for the work that I was doing in creating operas for young people and trying to understand how opera could actually be a source of delight for South Africans who were used to playing roles in Tosca and Madame Butterfly, but what about our own stories? What about our own history? What about our own music? And that was a kind of a springboard for my career, and an acknowledgement that this art form was relevant and important and needed to actually develop. And over the last 30 years, it's been amazing to watch young opera singers come from South Africa and conquer the world stages because of the opportunities that were given to them. When I was working with Cape Town Opera, with the wonderful Angelo Gavato, and I was able then to continue that with my writing as a novelist, and to get young people to read, to actually pick up a book and immerse themselves into that book, and that was also part of the belief that the Standard Bank Festival had in my work, that it gave me the opportunity to have confidence. I think artists need to live without doubt. I'm sure my colleagues on the show will join me. We have no time for doubt. We have to be confident. Otherwise, you can't do what you're doing. And if you have too much doubt, it doesn't happen. And the Standard Bank Award was able to free me from doubt. Somebody was saying, "You're worth it. Go for it."
Right. And I quite like that point, because, I mean, it speaks to what you said earlier on, Tate Mofokeng, that, you had to break that ceiling in order to push whatever agenda or motive that you wanted to push at that time. And I believe that you were told a year before, in 1993, that you are the winner of the Standard Bank Young Artist of the Year Award in 1994. And I would imagine that must have come with so much pressure, because 1994 was quite a notable year for South Africa, and especially for South African arts. The South African arts was taking a totally different route and a dimension. So what kind of pressures came with that kind of accolade at that time?
I was a student in 1976. On the day, I was writing an Afrikaans exam. And then 76 happened. So 93, I get the notification that I've gotten this award. We don't do politics, we do art. I didn't mean to make a political statement. I meant to make an artistic statement. And that's it. And I went searching for a production that I could take to Grahamstown Festival the following year. And that's really what was important to me. Not to make a political statement. By the way, I mustn't forget, whilst I was at the Civic Theatre, I did a production of Tate Williams' a Child of the Moon.
Oh, right.
And
right.
I think he remembers that. And I look forward someday to have... And I look forward to someday, some theater, some institution having a Micheal Williams festival, So his collection of works are put there, and we enjoy him in his lifetime. But 1994, I didn't mean to make a political statement. And I ended up directing a production of Nongoko.
Yeah.
With the late Dambisa Kente and Owen Sijake. Yo, those actors, Arthur Molepo. Somebody who works with disabled people goes to see the production and comes out and says, where's that actor who's disabled? Meaning that Arthur Molepo had done that role in a way that you couldn't realize that he was not disabled. And that's what we are. We're magicians. Give Nhlengethwa a canvas and you don't know what comes out. Give Micheal, give him a page and he writes. He sees an opening night in his head, and that's what we are. I see an opening night, I get into a production meeting, and I have all these professionals around me, and I'm the only one who has the perfect picture of opening night.
Yes.
And that's what, how do I get it? Through all these people. And opening night, I remember Busman and Lena with Nhlengethwa and Bill Curry. And I sat outside. If I was a drinker, I would have gone to the bar. I was so nervous. The only and the first and the last time, I was so nervous. No, hi boy, don't worry.
Yeah.
And Bill Curry, I didn't know Bill Curry was asthmatic.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize he had taken out his...
You know, I could listen to you all day. Now, Mr. Williams, and I want us to interrogate the statement that Mr. Nhlengethwa made earlier on, that as artists, you don't make politics, but you simply make art. An argument could be made with regards to that politics and the arts exist, they do exist together or collaboratively, because for arts to thrive, the environment or the political environment has to be enabling. So before 1994, you were a white artist there, and an argument could be made that, the dominant discourse amongst whites and white artists is that they had to support the regime at the time. Of course, they had the option of choosing to support or reject the status quo. But then the popular sentiment, of course, was that art needed to be an independent medium. So what did it mean for you to be a white artist in an era where white artists, were deemed to be the dominant or the superior artist in that arts fraternity?
Yeah, good question. I think we are all political because it's our human nature.
Yeah.
And I think we can't always separate politics from art. I mean, certainly as a young creator of operas in those years, it was really key for me to take the then KPAB artists into townships all over the country. When I was working at the State Theatre in, I think it was 88, I created a piece called The Milkbird, and it was a folk story that I then set to music, and I had about 5 young singers from the chorus of the State Opera, and by the end of the year we'd done 250 performances throughout Atteridgeville and Mamelodi, and it was incredible to switch young people on to the beauty of the human voice. And I remember going into townships and being stopped by SADF soldiers, white soldiers at the townships, and they were saying, "Now, what's going on here?" And then we sort of, "No, we're coming to tour. We're doing an opera for the kids in the..." "What? An opera? Yeah, look at the back there." And then they open up, and there's a huge big puppet, Jerry, of the Milkbird. And they say, what is this? I said, "Oh, please, just let us go on. We just want to do our work, and we're going to be in there." Then we'd go into the school hall, and there'd be 700 kids. And then we'd perform the opera for them, and they would be so happy. And then we'd all come out, and we'd be so excited about what we had done. And then when Angelo took me down to Cape Town, he just said to me, "Micheal, I need you to keep on writing opera for young people." And so Seven-Headed Snake, Orphans of Kumbu, The Child of the Moon happened, and we just toured these operas into communities all through South Africa. And it sort of turned around the idea that opera was for white people, that opera was a European art form. No, we all have the opportunity of singing opera. And as I matured as an artist, I took on political themes. Enoch, Prophet of God, about Enoch Makhetha in the Eastern Cape, and how he stood up against the English Empire and what happened to him. Buchuland, the capture of land, and how it was taken away from a colored community and then returned 20 years later. And Mandela Trilogy, looking at Mandela's life and looking at through the 90 years of his life and putting it onto the stage. These are all political pieces in many ways, but they stung. And so it was important, that development as an artist. And I think I agree with Jerry that, you know, I was more concerned in telling the stories than actually making any political acts. But in the meantime, I was actually making a political act. I was bringing opera mainstream into South African culture and saying, you know, this is something that we can all love because we got our own way of expressing ourselves through song.
Right, right. And again, I take that point, Mr. Williams, that, you know, we need platforms like this just to ventilate and reflect and on the strides that we've made as South Africans and how far we've come insofar as, you know, making the arts inclusive for just about everybody. And I remember Bongani Tembe, who's the founder of the Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra, who said that back in apartheid, he had to secretly take opera lessons, and he was taught by a white teacher at night at his own home. So he was one of the, you know, cabal that introduced opera to black people. So 30 years later, it is prudent that, you know, we make such a reflections on how far we've come. And Nhlengethwa, you went on to found the Back Factory, which is, you know, a space for artists to ventilate their artistic, you know, abilities. And how do you balance your own artistic practice with your role in terms of supporting and mentoring emerging artists at the Back Factory?
Well, Back Factory was such a marvelous thing to have ever happened to us, not only in South Africa, but in Africa.
Yeah.
Because we co-founded that with Pat Maudra and David Kolwane, the late David Kolwane. And it's been moving on. We have artists coming from different parts of the world doing some residencies. And it has shaped us. And as we speak now, there's a David Kolwane Award. I sponsor a studio for young black girls because, like, in our background, I mean, we have few female artists because of some of the strict rules that came from our fathers that a woman must be in the kitchen. So I just want to use this opportunity to sponsor a girl for a year. Today? Pardon?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so I took this opportunity of the Back Factory to sponsor a girl every year. It's been 5 years I've been doing that so that I give them confidence. But again, you know, I think Micheal, Jerry, and myself will keep on inspiring the youngsters because we never dropped the baton. We've been moving on. And when I can talk about 1994, it really excites me. I won the award in 1994. I was still working for the SABC and I wanted to resign, but the SABC asked me to do the last set. I was a studio set designer. To do the last set of the first debate of the then President de Klerk and Nelson Mandela at this Civic Theatre. I did that, and then after that I resigned. I became a full-time artist, and then with our democracy, when Mandela was the president, that was cherry on top. I always tell people that 1994 inspired me in various ways.
That is so heartwarming. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Now, Dade Mofokeng, you also wrote this book, I Am a Man, and it's quite a touching memoir because it talks about, you know, how you discovered your real father's identity when you were just 58.
Yeah. You can't say just 58. I mean, I'm a grandfather. It's only then that I find out who my father was. And that's when I got the inspiration to write this book. And a lot has happened because then everywhere I go, I'm talking to men. I said to you, of a lot of people only see their fathers when they're already in the coffin. I come to you and say, listen, we're sorry as a family, we couldn't tell you who your father was.
Sure.
And he's passed away. At least go and see his face once in your lifetime. And let's stop insulting men. Let's heal the man. Let's empower men.
Yes.
And that will take us somewhere.
And that mantra will make and build South Africa. Let's heal the men. We need healing. We all need healing of some sort.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. And Jerry Mofokeng, Micheal Williams, and Nhlengethwa, lovely chatting to you. And once again, I mean, it's so good basking in the glory of greatness. 30 years later, we still celebrate you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. And those were the Standard Bank Young Artists of 1994, Dr. Jerry Mofokeng, Makhetha, Nhlengethwa, and Micheal Williams, talking about the journey that has been and how they are still active within the creative space.